Alright, this video here we're going to look at finding the domain and range of a function when we're given the graph. Alright, so to find the domain, we want to know what x values does the graph cover. Okay, so if we look over here, we can see where the graph starts, and over here the graph stops. All right, and we know it starts and stops because notice the points at each end. Okay, so the graph stops, well, it starts at -4 and it stops here at +4. So if we start here and we follow this graph all the way, okay, all right, so we're going up on the graph, but notice the x values. Okay, as we're going along the graph, see it's covering all of these x values here, and we come on down over here to where we stop, and it covers the x values from -4 to +4. So our domain would be from -4 to +4. Now when we write this, we're going to need to use brackets because the -4 and the +4 are included. Because notice the point here at -4, it's a closed circle, and this is a closed circle. Okay, we'll have some in a minute where they're open circles, so we'll talk about that. All right, so now that's the domain. Now let's look at the range. So we see here where the graph starts and it stops over here. But as we go over the graph, okay, as we trace across the graph, we want to know what y values is this thing hitting. Well, if we start here, the graph's going up and it goes all the way up until it gets to 4. Okay, so these are in twos. Okay, so it goes all the way up till it gets to 4, and then it comes back down to where y is 0. So you can see our range is from 0 to 4. So there's the domain and there's the range. All right, let's take a look at another one. All right, so first let's look at the domain. So if you look at the graph, now notice this graph, it's going to keep going in this direction. Okay, it's going in this direction forever. It's going to -infinity, and the graph is also going in this direction forever. It's going to +infinity. So we can see that the graph is starting at -infinity. Okay, and as it's coming from -infinity, you see there it's hitting all of these x values here. It's hitting all the x values. See, if we trace the graph, it's covering all these x values, and it's going to keep going forever in this direction. It's going to +infinity. So the domain would be -infinity to +infinity, and we don't put brackets on positive and -infinity. We can never equal those, so you'll have the parenthesis on negative and +infinity. All right, so now let's look at the range. Well, the range, remember, that's the y values that it's hitting. Well, if we look at this, what's the smallest y value that this graph hits? Well, you can see that it's -2. Okay, so the range is going to be from -2, and we'll put the bracket because the -2 is included. And then you can see that here the graph is increasing forever. It's going to +infinity. And also on this side you can see it's increasing forever. If we're going back towards -infinity, see, it's going to +infinity also. So the range would be -2 to +infinity. All right, so let's take a look at the last problem. All right, so we want to know the domain and range. All right, now we can see that each little box here is 1. Okay. All right, so the domain. All right, so this part of the graph here, it's going down, okay, but it's also going to the left forever. So, and that's what we're interested in the domain, is how's the graph going left and right. Okay, so if it's going to the left forever, that means it's starting at negative infinity. It's starting at negative infinity. Okay, and see the graph's coming along here like this, so it's hitting all of these x values, and then it stops right here at positive 2. Okay, so it's going from negative infinity to positive 2. Now, you see how this is an open circle? That means the 2 is not included. So that means the 2 would have a parenthesis on it. So the domain is from negative infinity to positive 2. And then look what happens. The graph jumps up to here. And you see here how it starts at 2. See, it's increasing forever, but it's also going to the right forever. And that's what we're looking for. How's it moving left and right for the domain? So if it starts here at 2, so that means or, and then it starts at 2, and it'll be a parenthesis because it's an open circle. Okay, so it's going from 2, and it's going to the right forever, so it's going to infinity. All right, now the range. All right, so the range, well, that's what y values it's going to hit. Well, we can see the graph's coming down forever. So we can see for the y values, it's going to start at negative infinity. And look, it goes up to this y value. See here? It goes up to this y value of 1. And that's going to have a parenthesis on it because the 1 is not included. Okay? Or, well, it doesn't hit any of the y values between 1 and 3. See, this would be 2 and this would be 3. It doesn't hit any of these y values, but it does jump up here and it starts at 3, but we'll have a parenthesis on it because it's an open circle. And then what does it do? See, it hits this y. That's where it starts back up again at 3. And then what is it doing? It's increasing forever. It's going to positive infinity. And so there's the range. Okay, so the main thing when you're looking for domain and range from a graph, you're basically looking for the domain. What x values does the graph cover? And then for the range, what y values does the graph cover? Alright, so I hope this helped. Check out my other videos. Give me a like and subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Alright, thanks.